Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Good day and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Carol and I'm here with my co-hosts, Gretta, Kathleen, and of course, the Realm of Beings. We'd like to share with you our next expo, which will be in California at the LAX Airport Hilton Hotel. That's in LA. It'll be from February 7th to February 10th. You can get your tickets online at www.consciouslifeexpo.com. Gretta will be giving free psychic readings, and her and Kathy will be broadcasting Shifting Impressions live right from the expo. And they're going to have special guest Alan Steinfeld. So get your tickets early because they go fast. Additional expos will then include Edison, New Jersey, March 7th to the 9th at the Heart of Oneness Holistic Expo at New Jersey Convention and Expo Center. Tickets there, heartofoneness.com. Sorry, I'm not used to reading those words all together in one jumble. But and then after that, due to popular demand, back in New York, this time, March 28th to 30th at the Hotel New Yorker, which is on 34th Street and 8th Avenue. And tickets are available at www.newlifeexpo.com. Of course, you can always experience Shifting Impressions and the latest news, including our upcoming expos, on our website, www.therealmofbeings.com. We have a Facebook account, an Instagram account. You can see us on YouTube, Spotify, Transformation Network, and any other of your favorite streaming platforms. We at Shifting Impressions are very happy to be here on Transformation Network every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time and 8 a.m. Pacific. Listeners and viewers, if you're new to the podcast, thank you for joining us for being part of this experience. These conversations will help you look at your life and your creation of reality to see what you're creating, how it shows up, and how to help you gain perspective so you can learn how to shift what you are creating in order to create what you want. So welcome to everyone. To new listeners and viewers to the podcast, each week Gretta shares with us a quote given to her from the Realm of Beings, which we first will discuss with each other, and later on in the show, we will have the Realm themselves join us and expound on the quote they have shared. This week, our title is Transitions, and the quote says, "Transitions can be a challenge to you when you become emotionally attached to them." And this one, transitions, my first thought is we know that death is an illusion, that what most of us would refer to as the term death is actually just leaving the physical body in this reality and transitioning into a transitional portal, reviewing the lessons learned, and then creating a new reality to continue learning lessons. So we don't actually die, we transition. But it also meant to me that transition could also mean change, not just change of losing our physical body in one reality and regaining it in another, but any type of change that we have can sometimes be challenging and push us out of our comfort zone. If we change our employment, if we change where we live, like changes in general or transitions in general can be challenging, but the realm tells us we can overcome anything. And if we can understand that, the change and the transition should be much less challenging. And the transition of the energy that most people refer to as death, again, we do not go into sympathy, which is low vibrational energy. Empathy is fine. But if you're too emotionally attached, it can become more challenging for you. So if you remember that everybody and everything is energy, and energy can't die, it just transitions, it should make it a little easier to accept. Am I on the right road here, ladies? I'm not sure. It was like double to me. It was a double meaning to me today.
No. I was just what was popping into my head since we've been working on songs and we're no longer doing moving on up. But when you transition, we often see it as moving on up, but to the big sky. But I was thinking of the song "Everything Must Change, Nothing Stays the Same," and for some reason that melody was playing through my head and some of the words as well. But I agree, Carol. There are many different types of transitions. Most people don't see death as a transition. That's been my experience.
Mine
I
too.
never saw death as a transition until I met Greta and the realm, these 13 years, whatever it is that was going on. And I don't even remember if Greta used transition for 13, 14 years ago. We weren't using realities 13, 14 years ago. We were using dimensions. So we have gone through a transition.
Interesting.
The transition, we're not forgetting, we're not leaving, we're just able to refocus another way. And some people can make it do it effortlessly, or they appear to do it effortlessly, I should say, because we don't know what that person's going through as they're transitioning from one journey or one phase of their belief system or their reality that they're creating into another one. And since we're always constantly creating a new reality just by moving my hands like that, or all types of realities and reverberated realities, I can see where some people can kind of get stuck, and we call it looping. But it's not just a looping; it's also like earthbounds, what you call ghosts. They get stuck between transitioning. They don't want to leave. There's the fear, and I think fear is and guilt. All of those low vibrational emotions can keep you from transitioning with joy and ease, which is what the realm has been trying to teach us. So I agree with you, Carol. I think it's there are many ways to transition. Heck, they even had a transistor radio. You're transitioning from being able to walk around with my father called them minority briefcases, which was some jukeboxes on the shoulder.
Boombox, the boombox.
The boombox. My father called them minority briefcases.
That's funny.
It's a low microaggression thing, but just transitioning. I was thinking from technologically transitioning, how we're going to handle AI.
Ugh, it's already causing issues.
Look at the transitions that are happening now in this country as a result of people not being able to transition and move forward by accepting that, moving away from separation. You see? And let me stop because I am not the realm.
Yes, you are. We're all one.
Oh, that's right. I
no
am
separation.
But I'm going to let Greta come stepping in now. Okay. Right now, anything that I have said.
No, I just, when I downloaded this quote from them, I said, wow, transitions. There's so many of them. So many transitions, because what does transition really mean? It's change. That's how I look at it. It's a change. So then if we're applying that to ourselves, then what is our changes?
that we go through. How do we initiate a transition? And then that goes back to creation of reality, back to thoughts, and back to our emotions. And then when they said in there, it can be a challenge. That's true, because we have to first of all, we have to create the transition. Then we have to create the transition to be a challenge for us. So we're going in stages anyway. We're thinking about something, and maybe it's something we've thought about and we've created it that we didn't really want. So we've transitioned into something that we don't want, And then a lot of times when we transition into something we don't want, we attach all of these wonderful, interesting emotions to them, some of which help us to keep going down what Kathy called looping. And to the audience, when Kathy said two different things, I would like her to elaborate on that and then come back to me later. But Kathy, you said looping, and you said reverberated realities in your discussion with us this morning. So can you elaborate on both of those?
Are you sure that wasn't the realm?
I'm absolutely positive it wasn't Kathy. It was
I heard it too. I heard it too. You did say it, Kathy.
Okay. Looping, simply put, is doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting the same result.
Same definition that Einstein gave, crazy.
There you go. In other words, you don't learn the lesson. And you keep repeating it. And if it's a lesson where you keep hitting the 6-figure number, that's a great one. You don't mind looping. It's funny because you don't mind looping in that. But when you start looping in self-pity, you start looping with the same emotions that keep you holding on to the same health challenges, then it can become a problem for you, okay, if you want that. That's looping. The reverberations, it's like I always see the reverberations as like sound, like a sound wave. Like you have a thought, or you just throw a pebble for a visual representation and let it hit the pond, and the ripples go out. So every time you have a thought or an emotion, it can reverberate, like anger can morph into reverberate into an even stronger, more downward spiraling, low vibrational emotion. Or if you want, you can have the opposite. That's just coming to me. You can also have a reverberation where it's going from good to happy to joy to exaltation to whatever, the highest apex of that positive emotion. So that's kind of like how I see reverberations. But again, it's still your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I was literally practicing, watching the stuff on YouTube, all the things that are happening, feeling myself getting angry and trying to change the energy of that. I said, what if I could do that? Because I didn't want to get caught up in it, but I wanted to see it. So I could feel myself say, oh, no, calm that down. So I was practicing, not only loving myself, but just practicing how do you handle the information and the other energy stuff that's coming through. And that's kind of like what I was kind of doing. But I didn't want any reverberations to come, and I didn't want any looping to occur with myself, like going down, being afraid, all of those kinds of things. So I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. But it was interesting exercise to do that.
Fear, I think, plays a really big role in looping, actually. And Greta can attest that I've been in a loop for years that I'm still trying to break.
Stop claiming that.
I'm not claiming it, but, I'm being honest, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I want the listeners and viewers to understand that we're practicing, working on learning all our lessons also. We're not just telling them to learn them. We're still practicing it too. But fear of change, I think, is where I get stuck sometimes. So the fear is what's keeping me in a loop. And it's fear of, I guess, the unknown, because if I change what I'm looping, at least I'm familiar with what I'm looping, you know? And then I don't know, if I don't attract that to me anymore, what am I going to attract instead? Will it be better or worse? You know, that's where the fear plays a role.
But see,
So,
Carol, is, see, I always joked around. We talked about joking before. I said, I'm going to retire when I'm 55. And I joked and joked and joked. I said, when I'm 55, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Don't you know I retired when I was 55? But what I did not know is when I was making that transition, because I didn't know I created my own reality, I should have said healthy. I should have said, I did a whole lot of things I could have filled in, you know, joyful, you know. But we don't think about that, because at the time I didn't know I was creating my own reality. But now I know. I said, you know what? We have to really watch your thoughts. And even that
yeah.
can be a frightening transitional change to go through. Like, you create your own reality, you go, oh my God. Like, you're driving down the road and you go, oh, it's really windy. Hope that tree doesn't fall on me. Oh my God, am I creating for a tree to fall on me? I kind of went through that, and then I'm QDR. Oh no trees falling. Oh no, I'm safe and secure. I'm always safe and secure. But it's like sometimes when you're learning to make those transitions, how you make those transitions can either make you fearful or not fearful, or just say, you know what, I'm not worrying about that tree. I'm going to change that reality right now with another thought. That tree loves me. It's going to stay there because I love myself, and I'm going to get where I'm going and get back home safe. So go ahead,
See,
Greta.
good point.
See
I
that
just interject. A good point Kathy just made when she said she was retiring at 55, and now she's looking at what she should have filled in, is to remind everyone that when you're doing your affirmations, make sure you're specific. You can
Careful what
say,
you wish for.
I want to be experiencing having money come to me, but you don't want it to come to you because you were in a car accident and the insurance company gave you money. So you want to be specific, right? Greta, sorry, please go ahead.
No, that was good. That was a good statement. I was just cueing into the quote again, and it says, can be a challenge. And I think all three of us have talked today about that. The transition can't be a challenge unless we make it one. And that's, I think, what's coming out in that quote. And when it says, when you become emotionally attached.
I forgot emotionally attached.
Right. Because the emotion is what drives everything. Emotions drive. So once you become emotionally attached to something that you don't want, then what you're doing is really driving it more, giving it more energy, which means when you give it more energy, then you're giving it the opportunity to continue. And that's what people don't understand. It's like if you divorce somebody, once you divorce somebody, you don't want to hang on with animosity or hang on with the fact that, oh man, I am so glad I'm divorced from you, because you're giving more energy to that, and you're giving more energy to the angst of that. Now, the interesting thing about it is that in a human experience, we think that when we get upset and we get angry with somebody or we hold angst with somebody, that it's going to the other person. And it really isn't. It's internalizing itself in us. So I know the quote didn't say that, but that's in essence when you become emotionally attached to them. So the more you become attached to it, the more you're going to experience.
Even
It's
emotional
like,
beliefs too, like religious beliefs. You can become so emotionally attached to that you can't see the forest for the trees, in
you
my
don't
opinion.
want to give it up, right? Because you've been trained in it.
Mhm.
Trained in it. So it's like you fully accept it until you get to a point where something happens and you don't want to look at it. You know, I've given this story about Mr. and Mrs. Frank, in the
The television.
podcast, but I gotta give it again because it fits so much. They went out when I was a child, so in the 1950s, they bought a TV. The first television, of course, back then televisions were black and white. They bought the first television than anybody else on the block. Everybody on the block was excited. They were so excited about that. Um, and of course, we knew as kids we couldn't just go over to their house and sit down and look at the TV, but we knew they had it. About maybe a week later or so, the rumor went through the neighborhood, through our block, that the Franks don't have their television anymore. And so we were going, why? What happened? What happened? So we found out that the minister of their church came over, saw them with the television, and told them this was not good. I'm sure he probably told them it was uh, an element of the devil, or, this was bad for them
Evil.
to have that. It was going to bring them into a hellish situations. So they made a transition from not having a television to having one, which means this was something that was bringing them joy and peace. But then they were informed by someone that they trusted that this was not good for them. It would be a bad influence on them from a religious perspective. So the next thing we knew, they had given the television to their minister, and he took it off their hands.
And he fought the devil every time he touched that dial too, didn't he?
I bet you he did.
You know
You
what,
know,
Glenn? You didn't say, I didn't mean to cut you off, that as a black family in Chicago in the 1950s, even, I'm not saying it's not across the board with other families, that was a big, 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 big deal to be able to even afford it, regardless of what color you were, really. Just
absolutely.
have that. And they felt guilty about having it.
Well,
But just
he gave
find
them
out
fear.
they talk them out of it.
He put fear in their hearts because they trusted him. As religiously, they were in belief with what he taught. So if he told them it was evil and it was going to bring the devil in their house, of course they got fearful and they were like, sure, take it off our hands. So yeah,
So
I
they
see
made
that.
another transition. There was a
Exactly.
transition to make the decision to purchase the television. And then there was a transition to that they created to give it
Right
away.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. So each one of those things were transitions. So when you go back to transition, the meaning of it in this context that we're talking today, the meaning of transition is just change. You're
That's
changing from one thought to another. It's like when you move from one job to another, you've made a transition.
right.
Now, how you feel about that transition
Exactly.
is the thing. Like the Franks in the beginning were so happy. They had made a wonderful decision. They were enjoying something that nobody else on the block had. So it was a happy transition until someone came and said, no, don't be happy with this. So then
Well,
they had to make
technically, didn't they
another
create that?
thought
They
and emotional change.
but
They
they
had to change
created it.
emotionally. What did you say, Carol?
Didn't they create for the minister to do that? Because they create.
Yes, because
Okay.
like Kathy said, they had probably some feelings of guilt, which could have come
Right.
from anywhere. Could have come from the fact that they were the only family on the block that had one.
Fear of a break-in, somebody coming and breaking in the house and taking it.
Right, right,
That's another thought that just popped into my head. Everybody knows we have it. Everybody knows we have it. Ooh, ooh, they'll break in the house. We shouldn't have
right,
it. Let
right.
that be they ain't gonna touch the minister. Let them take it. Another probability.
I just think
Absolutely.
it's funny how that minister supported that though, and took it off their hands and took the evil unto himself or whatever belief system they had. Exactly. Ladies, we're at that point where we're going to take a quick break so we can have the realm come in and give us their thoughts. Listeners and viewers, we're at that portion of the program. We're taking a break. We'll be right back. And when we are, the realm will be speaking with us through Gretta. Thank you, and please stay with us. Welcome back, listeners and viewers. Thank you for sticking with us. We're at that point in the program where the realm is coming in to discuss about the quote that they've downloaded to Gretta. So, realm, welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are located.
Depending on the time zone. We are so happy to have you here. We're discussing transitions, and the quote you've given this week is, transitions can be a challenge to you when you become emotionally attached to them. So please go ahead and let us know any additional information we should be aware of.
There's so many different types of transitions, and you ladies were addressing that this morning. It can be a transition from being healthy to having a challenge, not being healthy, quote unquote, not being healthy. Because really the truism is that regardless of what type of dis-ease, as you sometimes call it, or health challenge, that is really illusory to begin with. So the truth is, the truism is that you're in perfect health at all times. But when you step into a situation where you create to be not in the perfect health of a human being, then you can get attached to low vibrational emotions, because then you can become saddened over the fact that you've created that. And most people here in this world do not understand creation of reality. So consequently, where are they going to go with it? Some people will go with, why is God punishing me?
Mm.
That will be possibility of one thought. Someone else may go, why is this happening to me? I've been a good person all my life. I've treated people fairly. So why is this happening to me? Then sometimes you can go to the medical doctor or some other type of health professional, and they will snap with you in that uh, snap. We don't mean getting angry with somebody, but well, what we mean is coming at you quickly with, well, there's nothing we can do. You'll just have to deal with it. There's nothing that can be done for you whatsoever. So then you start to spiral because you think there's nobody can help me. Then, as Kathy says, reverberation. Then you can reverberate to, I'm by myself. Then you can reverberate from saying, I'm by myself in relation to this situation. You can reverberate then to, there's no hope for me. And then you reverberate toward because now you've become, the more you've reverberated, the more you've become emotionally attached.
Mm.
So then, therefore, the more you're creating for it to grab hold of you even more than what it did when you first experienced it. So the thing is to back up. Most of the people that are listening to this podcast have an understanding of creation of reality. So therefore, we can say to you, back up. Don't keep going in that direction. Turn around, turn yourself around and go back the other way. You can trace your steps. It's just that your footsteps are going to be facing in the opposite direction. Because what you're going to do is you're going to transition out of it. You're going to start feeling better about yourself and saying, look, I can heal myself. When you come to that, I can heal myself, then that is thought. And as you become more, I can heal myself, then you can reverberate to, I am in perfect health. So when you backtrack, you may not know anything about QDRs or affirmations or QDR blocks or anything like that. But when you just turn around and backtrack, I'm not going there.
I think that's what
I'm going to transition in this way.
I think that's what I was trying to explain around what I was doing. As I was practicing, I was watching the stuff on YouTube, and I was said, "Oh, I don't like that. I'm getting angry." I said, "Nope. I guess I was backtracking, taking a deep breath and feeling the anger leave, and just go. I'm emotionally neutral. I am safe and secure. I was backtracking."
Absolutely.
I got it.
Absolutely. That's another way of saying you're transitioning. You see, to move from looking at the programs on your computer and then getting angst over whatever you were looking at. You started to, like you said, and like we said, backtrack. So that means you changed and moved into a different transition. Instead of transitioning toward the sadness of something, you decided to transition out of that. Now, one word that we did not introduce into this quote, I think it might be coming up next week, but is to neutralize, you see. Neutralize. That means that you take yourself into a space where you become a being who is not going to be emotionally attached to that situation.
You detach yourself.
Right. And we're coming to talk about that next week. But to neutralize also can stop a transition that is moving toward low vibration, that is getting you deeper and deeper and deeper. You and Greta are always talking about going down into the rabbit hole with Alice. We find that quite cute, going down into the rabbit hole. But then the three of you talk about that once you get into that rabbit hole, are you going to sit down there? Sometimes you can be so deep into that rabbit hole. You've transitioned yourself into that rabbit hole that you sitting down with not only the rabbit, but the Mad Hatter and that other woman, the Queen of Hearts, that nobody wants to sit down with.
No, she chops off the heads.
Right.
But you know what, Realm? I understand. I know what you're going to say. This is a very important topic to me, and so is next week. Actually, all of them are important, but it's hitting a special meaning for me today, and the one next week, detaching, because everyone, even all across this planet, they're watching the events unfolding in this country, and it's important for us to. They're telling everybody to not detach, to fight back against some of the things that are happening. So how do you fight back in such a way that you do not become a low vibrational person? And I understand that, they're not going to, those that want to experience deport, whatever's happening, the low vibrational thing will create that. But the audience, like that's what I was practicing, watching it and then detaching. I was successful some of the times. I don't know how successful I was all the time. But I knew that I consciously did not want to attach myself to that anger, regardless of who was talking about what was happening. I wanted to just watch it in a neutral way, analyze it, synthesize it, and not attach it to myself emotionally. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. Because there's one other word that we want to throw out to you in reference to that, which is in reference to the quote when we say emotional attachment, and that is sympathy. To be sympathetic to some people because they don't understand about energy. They will think, well, that shows that I'm really caring about the person. No, it is not showing that you really care about the person. Because sympathy is very low energy. So you don't want to ever sympathize with anybody or sympathize with something, because that's the emotional attachment that we've been talking about in our quote. You can empathize with somebody and say, okay, I understand that you're going through this. I understand that you've created your reality. See, that's the beauty of understanding that each person, regardless of how tiny, how big, how tall, how young, how middle, how old, it doesn't matter. Everybody's creating their own reality, their own personal reality. Just because someone says, we're coming to do this to you, it's up to you to accept it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is up to you. Acceptance of something is up to you as an individual. You do not have to go through the challenges of the collective unless you want to.
That's what I was saying. I was doing a QDR. I think I was saying I am experiencing releasing all emotions and thoughts that support me in creating and maintaining, attaching myself to the realities that other people are creating for themselves. I love myself unconditionally. It was something very similar to that, because I don't want to attach myself to that emotionally.
No,
But on
no.
a sympathetic level, saviorhood or any of that, they are creating that. And so this is
And go ahead, Kathy.
no. It's just that sometimes it seems like it's, for me, it's almost like it's a challenge to even come up with that QDR. And then sometimes I said I have to. I felt the need to come up with it because I did not want to get all. I didn't want to experience the anger. I didn't want to experience the low vibrations of that. I just wanted to understand, and I do understand what's going on, why it's happening. I don't know why they're creating that, but I understand, looking at it from a humanoid perspective, everything that's happening politically, socially, and whatnot in this country, on this planet. I don't have to like it, and a lot of it I don't like. And
Well, see, Kathy, you don't even have to worry about liking or don't like,
yeah,
because once you understand, and you do, that each person creates their own reality, and then we understand why each person is creating their own reality, which is to learn lessons. This is the place of learning lessons. This reality that we are in. That's what it's all about. When you connect with someone, just by connecting with someone, why are you connecting with them? There's a lesson there to be learned by both. Because we're always saying the existence protocol, which is create, support, create. So when Greta gave the story, Mr. and Mrs. Frank, they created to get a TV, and they created to give it away. So we're always in a constant state of creation of reality. Transitions is another word for creation of reality, because creation of a reality is a movement. It's the energy moves to provide an experience. It's a movement. And what is a transition? A transition is a movement. So technically, everyone, every individual is in a state of transitioning at every moment. Because transitioning is nothing but change. It's nothing but movement. So it is synonymous with creation of reality. So then, if we take it even deeper, creation of reality, making transitions, that all comes down to that word that begins with a C, choice. You decide what choices you want to make. If you like Alice, you enjoy the Mad Hatter, you enjoy sitting down there with the Queen of Hearts, you enjoy watching the rabbit, there's nothing wrong with that. You can stay and sip tea all day long. But after a while, you're going to be bored. You're going to say, why the heck am I still here? Now, how long it takes you to say that is up to you. Some people will decide to stay in humanoid time 5 minutes, and they'll say, well, I'm ready to come out of here. Somebody else will say, I kind of like it here. I don't have to think about anything. I can just stay right here in this. And they can be there for years, sipping tea with Alice.
And other people will join them on the same vibrational level.
Absolutely. Because we attract others. And others can mean animals, it can mean events, it can mean all kinds of things. But we attract others to us that are similar in our vibratory existence. What is our frequency? What is our vibratory rate? What am I vibing on? Am I vibing on being angry at every minute of the day? Am I vibing on just deciding I want to be happy within myself? But a lot of times, people want to they think more of the other person being happy. And so you think you bring a birthday cake and the person smiles because they recognize that you're recognizing them being born into this earth or on this earth. So that they're very happy for that moment. They're loving you for that moment. But then something happens. Another transition occurs. A transition that causes friction between the two of you. So you, who was so happy at receiving the birthday cake, is now disliking the person who brought it to you. Because you're getting caught up in the emotion of it. So how do you deal with that? One way is to just decide that you don't want it. I don't want to experience this anymore. Somebody who's being brutalized in whatever way can say, I just don't want this. I don't want to be brutalized anymore. So then we can say, yay, yay for you. Because you're climbing up out of the rabbit hole. By just simply saying, I don't want this anymore.
And Ralph, that applies to a lot of things. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Kath.
No, I said, just to piggyback on what you're saying, you can come out of the rabbit hole in 100 million things and stay in the rabbit hole in one or two, because they're all your lessons and you're still learning how to climb out. You're still transitioning out. And some take a little longer to get out of, and sometimes you slip back in, and then you eventually get out, you know?
Yes. So what shows that example that you've given shows that in human form, you want to be determined. I'm determined to change. You see, that determination is also energy. I'm determined not to go through this experience again. It is no longer serving me.
Yeah, that flu was once enough for me.
What did you say?
I said I had the flu one time in my life when I was 14, and I was determined. I said, I'm never having that again, and I have never had it.
There you go.
Never intend to have it either.
There you go.
Once was enough for me.
There you go.
I think also understanding that everyone is creating their own reality. Once you understand that, sometimes things are more challenging because you figure, well, I know this, so why am I creating what I don't want? But it also gives you an outlet of understanding. You don't need to blame anybody else. If you know you're creating everything happening to you, there's no need to judge someone else, blame someone else. Just look within and, remember that we need to love ourselves. I mean, that's always the bottom line you give as your last line on every podcast. At this point, we are going to ask you to bring Gretta back. We thank you for your words of wisdom, Realm.
You're welcome.
Kathy, the Realm cheated a little by giving a little hint at next week's quote, but you can go ahead and tell us, please.
Yes, neutralize the low vibrational energies that surround your personal space. Detachment. Learn to detach from experiences that no longer serve you.
It really seems to be entwined with this week, so I think that's going to be a great show next week too. I'd like to thank everyone involved here: Gretta, Kathleen, the Realm, Transformation Network. We're so happy you produce us. And most of all, we want to thank listeners and viewers. And remember to like us and follow on Facebook and Instagram under Shifting Impressions. And everyone, face your transitions this week in good, healthy ways. And until we create each other again, have a great week.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the Realm and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.